So this is a tutorial on how to use email activation to register users into a database. Basically what the user has to do is sign up using their email address. They'll be sent an email with an activation link. They'll have to click this link, and once they've clicked this link they'll be able to log in. Now I'm going to run through in this first part the files I'm using, the way I've programmed this, and then in the second part we're going to continue and actually code this up ourselves. Now I'm not going to be coding up everything because it's a simple login register script which I already have a tutorial on. So basically we're just going to be focusing, if you can see the files here, we're going to be focusing on the actual login itself and the activation process itself. The registration process does come into it. Obviously we're inputting more specific things into a database, but I'm just going to be working with these files. Now the reason this is a change of scene is because I'm using my hosting to do this, my phpacademy.info hosting. As we're going to be sending email out, it's a lot easier if you have your own hosting to send email out to an address. Okay, so let's get started. Now the first thing is I've got this global.php file. I'll just run through this quickly. Now basically all this is we've got an OB start which lets us use headers even if we've used text before headers. You may have got the errors before, cannot modify header information. This eliminates this. However, it has to be at the very top of your script, and we're going to include this in every single page we're using. So as long as we've got OB_start, that's basically going to help us out. We've got our session start because we're going to be using sessions when we're logging in, and we've got our connect to the database. Pretty standard, two functions, one to connect and one to select the database. I'm using my username and password here. It's obviously a temporary one. I'm not going to give away sensitive password information, but yeah, this is basically our global header that we're going to include in every file we use. Okay, so the next thing to note is we've got our index and register. Now index contains the login script. If you just, I'm going to pull this up here, you can see we've got a username and password field. You can try logging in here with a username and password, and we've got pretty standard functions. Otherwise, if you're going to log in with a username that does exist, obviously at the moment I haven't activated my account, but this is pretty much how it's going to work. So we've got our index.php which logs us in right here, and then we've got our register.php which I'll just grab up. Okay, so we've got choose username, choose password and email, and the way this works is you choose your username, you choose your password, you enter your email address, there we go, and what this does is it then, when you click register, it sends an activation email, and then you obviously have to activate that by email. So I'll just show you how it works. If we click register, username already taken. Okay, so Alex1 password, and there's my email. Click register. Okay, you have been registered successfully. Please check your email. It gives us our email address in brackets just to let us know. I'll come to my Hotmail, and there's the email just there. Click on that. So it says activate your account as the subject. Hello Alex1, you're registered and need to activate your account. Click the URL below. Okay, so I'm going to click it. Your account has been activated. You can notice that what I've done is if we then refresh this page, it tells us that we've already activated our account. So let's come back to our login page. And I'm going to type Alex1. I didn't show you what happened if you don't activate, but obviously it gives out a message, and then click that, and then you're logged in, and then you can just log out. So it's pretty functional. You can incorporate this into your website. The register process, the login process are pretty much standard to what you may already know. Just with the added bit of the extra checks and the extra things we're going to be putting into the database, and obviously this activate.php file is the most important. What it does is it does take the unique code that's input next to the record in the database, and then it compares and then sets this active field to 1 just here if the user has clicked this and there is a valid code. So our database looks somewhat like this. We've got our ID, which we're always going to use an auto increment to keep track of unique records. Then we've got a username, we've got a password, which is a varchar 32 because we're using MD5 encryption. And we've got our email address. Obviously this is quite important, not so much to store in the database, but we're going to need this to send the email out. Then we've got the code, which is where the code is stored until the user activates. I mean, it's stored there forever really, but it needs to be stored in the database for comparison reasons. And then we've got active, which is a tiny int, which is either a 1 or a 0. Obviously 1 would be that they have activated their account, 0 would be that they haven't. If we just browse this database, I'll show you some example data. We've got that Alex that I tried to log in before. You can see that active set to 0, that's why it wouldn't let us. And we've got Alex1, which I've recently registered and activated, and we've got active set to 1. So the code here will always match this code here, because this is our get variable here. So 6422 blah blah, and then we've got 6422 blah blah. So it is a pretty simple process. You've just got to have a login and register script already set up in place, and then you're pretty much good to go. You might find it helpful to recode everything just to make things simple, but for now I'm just going to show you the actual email activation process, not how to create the login and register script. So that's probably it for this part. In the next part of the tutorial we're going to start with showing you how to code up the activation process. So I'll see you in the next part.